43, Auburn University Marching Band. For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Wednesday night is here, and that means it's time for another edition of Auburn Family Night. This is the show where you, the Auburn family, take center stage as we continue to discuss and share the Auburn experience. Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family. Let's get into it right now. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, we discuss and share the Auburn experience. As I said, Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. If it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So we thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing this evening on another live edition of Auburn Family Night. Some people call this the granddaddy of all the shows and content that we have here at E2C Network. And they're probably true. It's probably the first iteration of anything we ever did here, making it about you, the Auburn family, primarily. So what's on the agenda tonight? You are, obviously, you, the audience. Those of you that are watching live primarily, but those of you that watch the replay, we appreciate you stopping by in that way as well. But we're going to get into the commentary, the questions, the topics, the focal points that you all want to spend time on this evening. And if you don't have much to say, I'll just talk about what I want to talk about. But primarily, Auburn Family Night is about you, where you want to go within that space, and everything in between, keeping in the focus on the Auburn side of things here. We do on Wednesday nights make available our live call-in option that you can now begin to take advantage of. That is listed at the top of the YouTube chat. It should be available somewhere on Facebook if you want to take advantage of that. But if you're watching on the other places beside YouTube, I always recommend that you come over to YouTube to access that in its easiest format. And it's usually where the bulk of our audience is anyway. So either way, we're happy that you arrived. We're happy that you got here. That is available for you. So don't be shy. Go ahead and get in line tonight. Don't hesitate. And we'll get you in as callers arise tonight. We've already got one waiting patiently in the wind for that. So like I said, we'll go where you all want to discuss and spend your time tonight on topics. There is a bunch of stuff that we could spend the bulk of our time talking about. We know we'll always be spending a bunch of it in the sports realm, and there is plenty today, even today, to talk about with football. Coach Galesh, OC Gordon, DC Durkin all met with the media today. We've got the press conference out already for you. If you haven't checked it out on our YouTube channel, I'd highly recommend you do it. Highly valuable. Commentary from them there, from the Senior Bowl. So there's a lot of that kind of, actual facts and stuff and discussions of some value that we can dive into other than just the same old, well, what do you think Auburn's going to do next season? No, there's absolutely some substantive stuff that we can walk through and talk about. If you're interested in that, we did take notes from it in the press conference notes on X today. If you want to take a look at those, some bullet points for you. We also could talk about 170 years of Auburn University, how awesome that is. We could talk about Auburn basketball and how that's going halfway through the season. We could talk about baseball season and softball season. Softball season starts tomorrow. Baseball season starts, the 2 weeks after or a week after that, whatever it is. But listen, that's just the long and short of it there. There's plenty more to talk about in this space. So you guys come on in. Let us know that you're here. Say hello. Tell us where you're checking in from. We want to hang out with you this evening. WT says it is the granddaddy of E2C. Kyle, it is. I think that is the appropriate term for Auburn Family Night, the granddaddy of E2C Network. I have gone back and looked at some of the old live streams that even we weren't doing here on YouTube, because believe it or not, this iterations of trying the live stream format began on Facebook and, believe it or not, Periscope. Does anybody remember Periscope? Periscope was like the early vertical, I think it was vertical live stream format, and that was on X or Twitter at the time. That used to be called Twitter. And so, I mean, there's some version of just connecting with you, the fans, which is what we now know as Auburn Family Night. This is the continuation of it. So it is the granddaddy of everything that we do here at E2C Network, and we appreciate those of you that continue to support it in that way. Periscope was really good in the early years. I don't even remember it hardly. I did. Sorry, I know we got to get into Auburn talk, but this is what happens on Auburn Family Night. We just kind of hash things out as a free-flowing thought here. I often get in these modes where I start thinking about, we used to say no to doing that type of thing because it just didn't make sense at the time. But look at what just trying something out turned into. I, for the longest time, was scared to get in front of a camera and really nervous. If you could watch some of those old Facebook live streams I used to do, if you could still find them, I can, but hopefully y'all can't. But now here we are. This is primarily what we do in this day and age. And hey, man, we're here trying to cover it in the best way possible that we can. And hopefully you find value in that each and every week. And no matter what you're watching and when you're watching. All right, let's get the chat going. Hit the like button. Those of you that haven't yet, please let us know where you're watching from. The share button as well. That's always helpful to get the conversation and audience going a little bit here. And then we're going to get going here with some of your comments and topics. We'll go ahead and take our first caller since he's been waiting patiently. He is our regular first in line guy, unless somebody beats him. Somebody has beaten him a couple times, but not tonight. Mr. Kevin, what's going on, sir?
War Eagle.
War Eagle to you, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, did we get any sign-ins today?
Yeah, we got a punter yesterday. So National Signing Day, as you know it, is no longer what it is. I mean, the signings all happen pretty much in December now, except for a handful that are left over at the time. So,
and I think Deshaun Spencer will be the breakout player for Auburn this coming season.
At wide receiver, that's who you think is going to be the breakout player?
Yeah,
for Auburn?
wide receiver.
Yeah, listen, the wide receiver room is, excuse my, very lame joke here, but wide open. It is anybody's room to take. You could certainly make a case for Bryce Kane sticking it out with us for the last of the Freeze 4. You could make a case for any of the USF wide receivers that are coming in. You could make a case for Sam Turner. You could make a case for anybody that you will, Deshaun Spencer, whoever. The room is open for whoever wants to take it.
We're trying to get a 5-star quarterback named Israel Abrahams.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm always going to remind you, and I know it's annoying to some people, but I'm going to do it. The stars don't matter as much people think. The stars really don't win football games. That what does is you get in the right people in the right situation at the right time with the right development too. So we'll see if that ends up happening, and we'll see if that is someone that is helpful for Auburn in the future.
Do we have a guy named Duke Smith?
We should. They have not posted, at least last I checked, Kevin, they had not posted the official spring roster. Let me do a quick search and double check. I did look at that yesterday or the day before that, and it was not up. But, since they did their press conference today, let's take a look. No roster set yet. So we do not know who else hasn't been retained. You can go find out who transferred out of Auburn for the portal and all that kind of stuff. But I don't remember anything about Duke or Eric Smith leaving.
I know Cam Coleman left.
I think everybody and their mother knows Cam Coleman left. That is not a mistake. No one is confused about that.
And I think Deuce Knight did the wrong move.
Well, you won't know that until his time in college is done. I really don't think much about when the guys leave. It's not that I wish them any ill will, or I don't care on some sense. It's just that's not an Auburn factor anymore. So once they decide that they're, gone from Auburn, it's just like I stopped thinking about them. It's just the way it is. So
if they don't want to stay at Auburn, leave.
well, yeah, that's what they did. That's what they did. They didn't want to stay, and let me be clear. A lot of times it can be that they do want to stay, but the money's too good elsewhere, or the situation is much better. A perfect example of not money. I mean, maybe some a little bit too, but Bo Nix, I'm sure he would have loved to stay at Auburn, but
somebody ran him off. Brian Olsen ran him off.
Well, that's the story that's out there. There's no actual facts behind that. No one's presenting the facts that's true. But here's what we do know about the Bo Nix situation, though, Kevin. We could not protect a quarterback to save our life during that stretch of time, starting with him pretty much. So if nothing else, I think we can all definitively look at the offensive line situation over the past several years and go, he might just have been running away from that. It was more than likely more than just that. But since he had one of his biggest injuries at Auburn because he couldn't be protected, that makes sense too.
How about the new quarterback we got?
What about him? What you want me to talk about in regards to him?
I think if he have a good season passing the ball, you might see him in New York City.
Do they still have the Heisman in New York City? I thought they moved it. Did they not move it one? Or that's the NFL draft that I'm thinking of.
That NFL draft, they moved it somewhere.
Okay, so I have that mixed up. I was thinking that was moved around, but apparently not. I mean, listen, he might, but we won't know. I've been really trying to encourage fans of this, Kevin, and I don't know if I'm preaching to the choir here or not, but I think too much as fans, we do too much forward thinking. We accuse players a lot of times like, don't worry about the game ahead, just focus on the one right in front of you. And we, then we'll do the exact opposite as fans. So let all that stuff play itself out. We got months to talk about potential, who could be a Heisman candidate, what this record is going to be and stuff. We right now just got a team that's about ready to be finally finalized and put together in spring practice. That's the only thing that we
need to be focused on. I can't wait 8A game. I'm going.
Are you going to go to 8A?
Yeah, if nothing happens.
I was about to say, you keep teasing me that we're going to get to meet in person finally, Kevin, and then it hasn't happened yet. So 8A's got to be it, man.
I called on the other Auburn calling show with Jeffrey Lee, and I said, I put my name in the Heisman race for Byron Brown.
Oh, I thought you were saying you put yourself in the Heisman race. I was like, well, you got to go out there and compete to be in there. But you're saying you put a vote, a fan. I'm with you now, Kevin.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
how you been doing?
Doing well, sir. Just getting used to the new routine in the new year and trying to stay busy is about all. How about yourself?
I can't wait tomorrow so I can listen to the Auburn softball team.
That's right, man. Love it. A little shout out for Auburn softball getting going tomorrow. Year 2 of the Malvos. We put our previews out there and predictions. So if you want to see predictions from us, me and Austin did that on the show. You can find it on the YouTube channel or the podcast this week. So speaking of which, let's use that as our little last question for you here. I don't have off the top of my head, Kevin, exactly how many games that they're going to play. But let's say that I want you to predict as your last little topic here. I want you to predict how far you think softball goes in, like, how far they go this year, like NCAA tournament, second round, third round.
Until the College World Series.
So you think they're going to make it to the College World Series this year?
Yeah, and the baseball team too.
Well, baseball got a little shout out in there too. Well, listen, if they get to the College World Series in year 2 of the softball team, that's quite the turnaround. And I think that will be very well studied.
And I think Auburn basketball team might make it to the NCAA tournament.
I think they're going to make the NC tournament right now. I think everything's pointing that direction, but we'll see. Only time will tell, my friend. It is always good to see
Hey,
you, buddy, and your
my,
cowboy hat.
my favorite basketball player is Keenshaw Hall.
Good call out. He's one of my favorites as well, sir.
I'll
All
talk
right.
to you later.
Talk to you later. Where you go? There we go. There's Kevin. just on out right up there. Good to talk to Kevin as always. We love hearing from him. Some of y'all got to do better, and you got to beat him to the punch here. He is always first in line and ready to roll. A couple times it's happened, which has been very, very rare, but we always appreciate getting to hear from him and hang out with him on the show. He here each and every pretty much every Auburn Family night. When we don't get to see Kevin on Auburn Family night, that is when it's a little bit scary because I'm like, did we do something wrong? Are we? Is something the matter or anything like that? But anyway, so jump on in, hang out with us a little bit here, and what's some topics that are fresh on y'all's minds this evening? Not really a lot happening in the chat during our conversation with Kevin, other than just acknowledging how great Mr. Kevin is. But what direction do y'all want to take this chat? I thrive off of really where y'all want to spend our time talking about, but we can go any different way that you want this evening. I will highly recommend that you all go and watch the press conference. You can get it anywhere. I prefer that you watch it on ours. I mean, that's just, what a good content creator does. But if you as a fan are not taking the time to go and watch these press conferences that we make available to you, first of all, we used to beg for days where you could have access to that type of information directly from the source. And now everybody gets it from everybody else. But I would highly recommend you go watch just turn it on in the background, listen to it. You're going to get a lot of good insight about this team, about what they had to go through to put this team together, what their vision is. People keep asking, are we going to be here? The amount of times that it's funny to me that I get asked questions from people, who's going to be the starting quarterback? Like, that's been answered already. If you check these things out, who is, are we going to be a more run team? He's been answering that 1,000 times. There's a lot of good information from that. We also heard from Coach the OC, Gordon, DC Durkin. They provided a lot of good insight as well. So I would highly recommend you go check out all of it wherever you can get it. We'll have the rest of those up later on down the stretch there. You are very welcome, WT. We do the best that we can. We don't get them all out there, but we try to make sure that we put some of the more important ones out there for you as well. Mr. Manville says, let's touch on how good our gymnastics squad is. They got off to a big surprise start of the year by breaking the 197 mark. So if you know about like overall team scores and stuff, obviously, I think I'm speaking out of my depth here. 200 would be like perfect, right? Right? No, a little bit more than that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. 197 is pretty good for your team scores. And they did that at the start at home against a decent opponent. And so everybody was really kind of surprised and hyped about that this year. But then they got what happens. You get into SEC competition and it gets a little bit tougher, especially when you go on the road and things like that. Now they're back at home versus Kentucky this week. So I am expecting a big, I don't want to call it a bounce back because they're competing. But I have had the benefit, I don't put those up for you guys, just to be honest, the gymnastics press conference. I put a couple clips out here and there for y'all because nobody watches them, just to be honest. And it hurts the channel when, things aren't getting viewed as much. So we have to kind of do those sparingly. So if you want more of that, you got to continue to support it. But anyway, the point of that, just listening to Coach Graba talk, you can tell he knows this team's potential is very high and maybe even more higher than they've shown thus far yet. It strikes me a lot of the way Bruce Pearl talked last year about that eventual Final Four team and even teams beyond that as well. So I would say you are in the right ballpark there, that they're a very good squad, young talent, have a couple of upperclassmen leaders, but hey, it's a good time to be an Auburn Tiger fan, no matter the sport that you're following, because even when one's down, the rest of them are doing pretty strong work in other cases as well. Sorry, making sure all of our stuff is working here on this thing right here. All right, let's jump into here and take this question from Mr. WT while we wait for some others. I had a feeling this was going to come up from UWT, the acknowledgement of one Gustavo. What did I forget the rest of his name? Retiring. He says, were you shocked that Malzahn retired and did not get a head coach job somewhere? No, not necessarily. Because a couple of reasons, right? Like I don't think that he was going to get a major job somewhere else. There was a little rumblings about Arkansas considering that, which I thought would have been trouble for us. It's always scared me, him making his way back up to Arkansas and then really making us pay for it. There was rumblings about him being attached to another school in the state as a head coach. You can just do your just think about it. I'm sure there were other offers and things like that. From outside looking in, here's what my take is on Gus retiring. I think it's as simple sometimes as they say. It's time for him to focus on other things and go where the Lord leads him. But I also love that he's a big family guy. He's focusing on that. He also, I hope I'm not sharing anything that is out of line here. I think this has been pretty well known that his wife has had some Christy has had some health troubles here and there. From what I can tell, she's doing fine online for what we're allowed to see into their lives. But she's had a couple of health scares here and there that have been, I think, reported on and stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's a little of that just kind of always in the back of them. Even if everything's fine going on, and just spend the time right there. It's also the changing world of college football. It's not really that much fun anymore for a lot of these older guys that don't really want to have to adapt to all these things. They don't have the energy. They don't have the drive to do that. So I get it. Like, it's not that I was shocked. I guess it was more like surprised that today was, that day was the day, Monday, I guess. But boy, it has been good to see and sit back and watch the love being shown to that man. I think no shock to anybody here how much my love and affection for Gus Malzahn is, and how much it didn't have to be this way, and all that kind of stuff. The facts are in on it at this point. It was the wrong decision. Auburn has had losing seasons since he left. Doesn't mean that there wouldn't have been losing seasons with him, but it definitely wasn't the right decision at this point, because we haven't headed in the right. And I've asked a good friend that I really respect his opinions, very, great Auburn fan, respectable. He's had a very obstinate view of Gus for the longest time. And I finally asked him after about like year 3 of this, and I said, you have to admit at some point there has to come a moment where you admit it wasn't worth the risk to fire a guy that was consistently winning, consistently competitive, and just wasn't reaching the mark. And unfortunately, he gave me kind of an answer, and we've reached that point. So I think he understands now, but yeah. It was the wrong choice. That's the main. There you go. Arthur Gustavo Malzahn for that. This from Jim says Gus probably needs to change up his coaching style because everyone has caught on to how to defend him. He's a good coach. This is a common narrative about Gus that is regurgitated a lot, and Jim, and I've never really had anybody walk out exactly other than the generic, he needs to change his style or everyone's caught on to him type of thing. Everyone likes to make those statements, but nobody walks out what that means or looks like. If they had caught up to him, he wouldn't have success as an OC too. And he's, calling those plays as well. Now, he may have needed to change up things as a head coach and the way he was running a program or something like that. I mean, maybe that's what you meant. But no, I disagree with that notion until people present facts to me that, somehow he was just not changing anything about that. I think that's just people looking for ways to, at the time, defend their negative views of Gus. And so until those facts come in, I really don't buy into that narrative at all. WT said, I would like to see him come back to Auburn in a Bruce Pearl type of function for football. I would love that too, WT. I I think we can all pretty well guess that he's coming back to Auburn in some form or fashion. If I'm not mistaken, they at least at one time maybe still do own land at Lake Martin, which is not far from Auburn, which is where Bruce is too, and they're good buddies. So I would bet that we're going to be seeing Gus a lot, which makes me very happy. I think Gus being at Auburn is a good thing. He is a quality human being. I think it bothers some people how quality of a human being, and that's why they went on him so hard, because it bothered them to see someone that squeaky clean having at least some success, and made them kind of have a mirror shine on their own inadequacies at times in certain areas where they could have been better men and women. But yeah, I would love to see something like that for him down the line. And who knows, maybe an AD at some point. Maybe an AD at some point down the line. I don't know. Let's see here. Let me get a couple more questions here. We got another caller waiting. We'll pop in with you in just a second. WT said, please don't conflate my teasing of you about your romance with Gus and my admiration for him as a coach and what he did for Auburn. Absolutely. Listen, there's very few people that I know personally that truly disliked him or anything like that. I think a lot of people were very misinformed about and believed narratives about him that they couldn't walk out themselves. And trust me, I'm not sitting here saying that everything Gus did when he was is perfect. Y'all have heard me talk at length about how his Achilles heel was offensive line, in my opinion, about a certain offensive line coach he kept bringing in that wasn't, wasn't, in my opinion, what we needed. So, he's not perfect, but I think he is one of the better quality individuals that we've had associated with Auburn for some time. Let's see here. I don't blame the firing of Gus for the losing season. I blame the horrible ineptness of those in charge in replacing him. Let me read that again. I don't blame the firing of Gus for the losing season. I blame the horrible ineptness of those in charge in replacing him. Well, but see, that's, you can say that, but no, it's still you're talking about the symptom. The disease is firing Gus. The symptoms are after that. So you can talk about treating the symptoms all you want, but you don't go treat the disease. I mean, you can't go back and treat the disease. It's already happened. But if that doesn't happen, the rest of it doesn't happen. So that's why you got to go to classification point A and discuss it there from this point. All right, a couple more things that we'll change topics and get our caller in. Never forget Gus started his coaching career in a trailer. I actually don't remember that. And now ends up in a mansion. He had a pretty good 30-year career. Well, way to round that out. Well done, Unbeaten Lake. I love it. The point of this is this. Very few times are someone that gets fired from a head coaching job have such a good relationship and reputation, and them coming back, like their view of you as well as the university that fired you, to have that type of relationship. And I think that's what's here. And I think that's another angle of what makes Auburn special. So happy for Gus. Happy the time that we had with him. I'm going to refrain from saying what I should have said. But anyway, let's keep rolling here and get our next caller in. I have a lot to hear. I want to hear a lot from him because we got some offensive line talk to have tonight, sir. What's going on, Thomas?
War Eagle, y'all. How y'all doing?
No, I can't. Wait a minute. I can't hear you. Turn your mic on or something. Because I do not have you muted.
Hello.
And my mic was working for Kevin, so it shouldn't be me. I'm going to pull this out just to make sure.
Hello.
Okay, maybe it is. 1 second here to figure out what is happening here and why I could hear Kevin but not you. Hear Thomas too? I can hear Thomas.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Oh, wow, that's a lot different. Can you hear me, Thomas?
I can hear you.
But why is it? Okay, so hang on 1 second here. We got a lot going on here, and y'all are watching me work on the fly here. Give me something one more time, Thomas.
You want me to back out, try again?
Yeah, but I mean that can't. It feels like a me problem, not a you problem. But try it just to see what.
It might be low battery on the phone.
I don't know, man, but give it a try.
All right, let me drop out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just back out and come back in. And I know that y'all could hear him, which is really weird that I couldn't. I'm going to Here, I'm going to kick you, Thomas, and just come back in for a second. Sorry, we're having to workshop this on the fly. It is really weird that I could hear Kevin and I couldn't hear Thomas, but y'all could. So the problem that we're having here now is that I will have to take my headphone jack out so that I can hear him and have a conversation with him, but then it's going to be reverberating through the mic. And so I was trying to plug it back into something else. Hold on. I got it. I think I figured it out. All right, Thomas, whenever you're ready, come back in. I'm an idiot. I think I hit a button I wasn't supposed to hit. What a time. You love technology every once in a while. All right, Thomas, I think I got you now, buddy.
You got me?
It was me. It was not you. You're good, but at least we tried to fix it on your end if it was, but it was me. So you're good. Go ahead, sir.
that honestly, that's a shock that it wasn't me.
No, it was a button that I pushed that I don't know why I would push that button, but it did, and we're good. So what's on your mind tonight, bud?
Look, man, as far as technology goes, I'm much more a light a fire guy than I am turn the heat on guy. So there's that. But yeah, let's touch on Malzahn retiring.
Yes, sir. What you got?
Y'all, anybody that's a fan of the show that's been around long enough that knows that I didn't like him. I still don't care much for him, but I wish him the best. I think that he did a great job at certain points in time. Mm-hmm. I still think that him leaving Auburn, whether he wanted to or not, was the right thing. I understand that put us through a lot of stress, a lot of stress with the last two head coaches. But winning seasons are not championship seasons to me.
Well, you have to win to get to the championship. I'll just want to add that in there. So
no, I look, I get what you're saying, but he didn't win enough to consistently get back to the championship.
Well, let me ask you this. I'll ask you the same thing I asked my friend that I was mentioning. I don't know if you were listening then, but I asked a good friend of mine. I respect his opinions a lot on things, but he and I very much disagree on our opinion of Gus Malzahn. And I asked him, I said, okay, for us to be logical, there has to be a point, if it's reached, where everybody can admit that firing Gus Malzahn was not the right choice. So what would that be for you?
Lack of championships. And I don't believe that he was the best choice for a head football coach at all.
Yeah.
I fully believe that had he been reined in by a head coach, as we saw in 2013, he would have been a great offensive coordinator for Auburn. But I don't think that he should have ever been given the reins.
So you said lack of championship. So if Auburn doesn't win a championship for the next 20 years, is that enough time to say, well, maybe we made the wrong choice and went down the wrong road? And I get, let me also grant you your side of the argument too. We get to a point in this in that line of that train of thinking where we're so far removed from the actual event, it's kind of less and less because of it. But do you see what I'm kind of saying? For us to all be rational and logical in this discussion, there has to be a point where everybody admits, if this point is reached, I can sit back and say, fine, whether I agreed with it or not, that was the wrong decision to do that. In my opinion, we have reached that. 5 straight losing seasons was not worth this, especially within the context of what, and we didn't know this was transpiring, right? But we literally fired the guy as the NIL transfer portal space was coming on in a COVID year, and all of those things combined set up a terrible scenario. Add on top a bad hire, add on top a hire of someone that didn't work out, that I personally feel like in a better situation might, not must, would have, but might have worked out. Different time, different place, all that kind of stuff. So to me, 5 years of this was not worth it. And I know nobody's shocked to hear me say that. You've been here long enough to know that's not going to surprise you in that. But like, I think that's a very logical train of progression there. 5 years of mediocrity, because that was the biggest knock on Gus. It's just mediocrity. No, this is mediocrity. 5 losing seasons because we made the wrong decision in 2020. Not the decision to hire Brian Harsin, the decision to fire, which led to the hire. Sorry. Anyway, I'm ranting. It's your time. I need to shut up. Go ahead.
But buddy, you're fine. You're not offending nobody. Okay, so I believe that Gus Malzahn as an offensive coordinator, would have been more beneficial to Auburn's growth than him being head coach.
Sure.
That's what I base all of this off of, because I look at his track record. Now you can go down a degree to the power, whatever, 4 and
sure,
Arkansas State and all that, and you can have success. I get it, but are you really qualified to be the head coach of Auburn without winning bowl games? You can have winning seasons, but the goal is to win championships.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you that Auburn made poor decisions in the 2 head coaches they hired after they fired Malzahn. I will 100% admit and agree to that. But I do still believe that getting rid of Malzahn as our head coach was the right decision. I think that we should have found a different head coach from the start and had Malzahn stay as a coordinator. I liked his offense. I didn't like his decision-making as the season went on. That's what I base my point on.
Yeah.
And, I wanted Harsin to work out. I really did. Ada played the crow. Did it on this show.
I did too.
Wanted Freeze to work out. Ada played the crow.
Yep.
I don't think that Malzahn as a head coach put in the work necessary to make a championship team. I think he would have as a coordinator because he had so much on top of him.
Well, I will go with you on this line of thinking is the day and age we were coming into, what we just talked about. And part of my frustration is making the fire that in the middle of what was about to happen. Again, no one knew that was coming for the most part, at least in that quickly all together at once. But maybe we would have gotten to that point in the next few years if what you and other people believe about Gus, about his inefficiencies in those type of areas, would have caught up to him, in terms of him not being able to manage that as a head coach. And I think people miss that in my argument in favor of Gus and standing firm on that this was a stupid decision that led us to this where we are today, is that I'm willing to admit that the next year he may have needed to be fired. Like, this isn't like Gus or come hell or high water. This is, to me, if you're going to fire a coach that consistently brings about winning seasons in normal years. I'm aware the 2020 year is an exception. I think we can all rationally. Did I say Lashley? Wow, that was a Freudian slip right there with the connection to Gus.
Are we Lashley in here?
I guess. But anyway, I can't even remember where I was going on that. I've ranted too much tonight and taken too much of your time. Anyway, you finish up what you wanted to talk about there. I do want to talk to you a little bit about I don't know if you've heard the press conference today or heard any commentary about just the offense or anything like that. But finish up what you want to talk about here.
I think that Auburn made the right decision in getting rid of Malzahn at that point in time.
Yeah.
I agree that it did not work out the way that Auburn wanted to, and us as fans, it did not work out the way we wanted to. We've gone through 3 head coaches in the past however many years, but I do believe we got one now. Mm-hmm. I think we got a guy that believes in the creed, that does not care about how much a star player gets paid. He doesn't care about that. He's here to win. And I love that. I love that. I think that's what we were missing was the grit, that I'm going to square up against you, and we're going to go out there every single week and fight. We're not going to out scheme. We're not going to try to do something crazy. We're just going to go out on the field, on the grass at Jordan Hare Stadium or at your house. And there's something to be like when I was in high school and played football, like I'm not a football guru. I'm just a nerd.
You just go out and play the game. Like don't think about it.
Yeah.
Just go play. Go play hard.
But when I was playing, defending your home turf is one thing. But beating somebody at their own house means something more. Mm-hmm. And I think we got a coach right now that wants to go out to Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, whoever in the world we're playing wants to put a boot in somebody's rear end, mm-hmm. and who wants to go out there and just absolutely flat beat somebody and say, we're going to put up 45, 48, 49, 65 points. It's up to them if they really want to beat us or not.
Yep.
And I think that in our defensive coordinator, Durkin, what we saw last year is going to give us a great opportunity to go out there and do that. Mm-hmm. We're going to walk into your house, we're going to take your dishes, we're going to smash them on the floor, we're going to kiss your sister, we're going to take your lunch money, we're going to step over you, and we're going to go on down the hallway. And I love that I feel that this team that we're going to field this year has that attitude.
Yeah.
What's Goalish say? Be who you are, or be what you're going to be about.
Be who you say that you are.
Be who you say, be who you say you are. If you're going to walk into a room and tell anybody you're the toughest dude in there, you better be. Because the toughest dude in that room, he's going to walk up to you. He's going to gut check. So if you're going to be the toughest dude in the room, you better be. And I love that attitude. And I'm confident in that attitude.
And now I love that he's getting, one thought. And I love that he's getting to start with a lot of his own people who understand what you're talking about and what, what you perceive he is bringing to the table here at Auburn. Byron Brown, I don't know if you heard him talk about him today or saw the little quick interview he did when he first signed. I think just a small win at a time, he exudes a lot of confidence. He exudes that phrase, be who you say you are. You say you're the starting quarterback, walk in a room and show me that you're the starting quarterback. Don't leave any room for doubt. Frankly, everybody said Byron Brown, if he's going to be Auburn star quarterback if he gets here and stuff like that. That's fine. Anybody can say those things. But what does it look like when you walk into a room with confidence? And that's kind of what I saw in Byron Brown. And so to carry that back over to what you were saying, that comes straight back from the mentality that Coach Galesh is instilling right now. You've seen it on the T-shirts on Be Who You Say That You Are. Anyway, but continue your thought.
Let me ask you this flat out.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that Ronnie Brown went into a play or a room or a workout or a practice thinking that he was second to Cadillac?
I don't think so. No, I wouldn't. I didn't ever feel that he could or would take a back seat to anybody. Even I think as time went on, they both matured and understood they could do this together. Probably in that freshman year, there was that more of that. I'm the number one. I'm the number one. No, I'm the number one. But yes, to your point, I don't think Ronnie Brown ever thought he was the number two back.
I fully believe that Alex Golesh is bringing in a culture to Auburn that says you're going to have to beat me at practice if you want to get on that field. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need if we're going to produce championship football teams.
Yeah, good stuff. Anything else, or did you listen to the press conference yet today or anything like that?
Not yet.
That's fine.
My work schedule has changed. Things are progressing.
No.
It's a really crazy time at work right now.
Understood.
The car wash business never sleeps, whether
even
it's
in the winter.
Well, there's some days we can't run, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. I just think that you're going to love a lot of what he talked about. Coach Joel Gordon talked about in the OC. And of course, you know Durkin well enough to know what Durkin's going to say and stuff. But still, hearing from him was good, too, just because it's reassuring that he's still there, because I think that's the one bit of a stability that we're all hoping for. And thankfully, he's still here. But yeah, do go watch that wherever you can, because I think there was a lot of valuable stuff in how they planned on building this roster out. And, you know, one of the bigger questions is, you know, all these USF people. What's the deal?
I think they're quality players.
Right.
They've played 2 years against Power 5 schools. They've played Miami's, Florida State's, Alabama's. They've gone out there and gone to war. And they have played as you don't believe in me, so I'm going to go to this team and I'm going to come up there and I'm going to fight you. And I love that. That's exactly what SEC football is all about is, oh, you think you're better than me? Let me put my hand in the dirt and show you. We've got a quarterback, a center, receivers, other linemen. Pardon me. Golish has, with his transfer class, has absolutely stacked offensive and defensive linemen. We don't have the best 4 in the country, but we've got guys that can rotate in and rotate out. Somebody gets hurt, great, next man up. We got guys that are gritty. They're tough. They fought for this. They played multiple snaps. We're putting together a group of guys that just want to win. They don't care about, well, I'm just going to go out here and just block a little bit and I'm going pro. No, he's got guys that want to go out there and want to fight and want to, you know, hey, you name this guy the starter this week, I'm going to be the starter next week because I'm going to outwork his rear end. Right? Or if somebody gets hurt, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to fill that spot with no drop off. He's got fighters. I love that. We hadn't had fighters on the offensive line for a long time. As far as I'm concerned, I did not play college ball. I didn't blah, blah, blah. We got fighters. We got guys that want to go out there and compete, that want to go out there and win. And I could not be happier about that.
I think you're going to love, based off our conversation here, what he says about Cole Best, the center. I think you're going to love that.
Hey, look, that dude's been in his system with Byron Brown for a good long while. So you've got the guy that's snapping the ball to the dude that is in charge of the ball already solidified. I could not be happier. When's the last time we had that?
It's been a minute. Right. And so obviously Cole Best and Cole Skinner are going to be there. And then you got all these pieces that you're putting together. Today he said he had, if I heard him correctly, 9 of the 18 or something, not 18, but not 9 guys that they feel comfortable are ready to play now. And then it's figuring out the rest, offensive line, and fill out the rest of the depth chart or situational who can come in and help us a little bit and stuff right now. So he did. I don't know. I keep asking you, have you seen? I know you haven't, but he did jokingly say, I prayed more over that position group than anything else right now. And I'm asking if anybody feels so inclined, please join me in praying for that. I took that not as a desperate, but he understands, it's a lot of work to put together a offensive line group that as you just talked about, works together and is not a bunch of individuals, and becomes a solidified group. Yeah, you're bringing in 2 guys that have been together, but everybody else hasn't. And so this is a whole new offensive line. And again, to your point, it's not about you being some great offensive lineman as an individual and going to the NFL draft. Some of the best offensive lines that we can talk about, championship year, only one of them went to the NFL draft, and he only went there for a short amount of time. But there's a reason that we can repeat: Lee Zimba, Byron Isom, Mike Berry, Brian Pugh, Chad Slade, and Mosley. I always forget his last. And it's not Eric. I keep wanting to say Eric Mosley, not Clint Mosley, because that was the quarterback. But either way, those guys, those 6 rotating in together, great offensive line because they bought into the line, not the individual.
I mean, you look at Auburn's success over the past 20 years. You've got 2004's offensive line, 2006, 2007, 2009, leading into the 2010 championship. It's about senior leadership. It's about continuity. It's about the guys that want to get it done because they want to win a championship, not because they want to go to the league. Because winning a championship will get you to the league.
Kind of works that way, doesn't it? Usually.
It's the funniest thing is
you win.
You got a team that's a unit. You can actually take individuals out of that unit and put them in the league. You look at Michigan when they won a couple years ago. You look at, golly, when it comes to the draft this year, look at Miami, look at Indiana. Even though they were the top two teams that played, watch and track their offensive line or defensive line of who goes in their draft and where they go.
Especially that D line for Miami. That defense was ridiculous.
Dude, absolutely watch Miami's defensive line. Mm-hmm. But you watch that Indiana offensive line. You watch the guards.
On that note, sorry, a little tangent here in our conversation, because I was thinking about this today, and since you brought up Miami, I am really excited that we have them on the schedule the next couple of years now. It's because it's kind of how I felt about Baylor at the time when we scheduled them. Like, I was excited to have someone new, or not newer, because we not in my lifetime played them, but I was like, will they be back to being prominent? Because look, I want the challenge. And so now that Miami looks right now like they're gonna, I don't think Mario Cristobal is necessarily going anywhere. I'm excited for that matchup coming up in a few years, because it's Notre Dame next, and then wait, if I have it all wrong, yeah, Baylor next year, Notre Dame, and then Miami. So it's gonna be fun. I hope Miami is still relevant in about 4 years and doesn't have to take another dip, because I'm really excited for that matchup too. Final thoughts for you, sir?
To touch on what you just touched on, I hope we're more relevant, and I hope that we hammer all of those opponents into the ground, because I can like or dislike them, but as far as players go, I don't hate players, but I do hate fans, and I have a fiery passion within my soul to hate Miami fans.
Interesting. Can you quickly give us a reason why? Like,
just they're about as bad as Notre Dame or Alabama or Georgia or Florida or any. They're just so cocky for no dadgum reason. Yeah. Oh, we won a championship in '88. Shut up, Notre Dame. Shut up. People were taping their socks to their cleats, spatting them up. Like, the last time you were relevant, Jerome Bettis was your running back, and I'm a Steelers guy, so I love Jerome Bettis. But every time in my lifetime I've seen you in a big game, you've choked like you put sugar in your cornbread. You've choked, and I can't stand it. I can't stand to see people go, well, they're good again. No, they're not. They may have good players, but they're not good. You're not
have this.
You're not
have you pegged for this.
You're not the Big Ten with the last 3-4 national championships. You're not the SEC with 7 or 8 in a row.
Right.
You're not. You hadn't done anything since '88 worthwhile talking about. I mean, you're one of your best players, Jeff Samardzija, ended up being an MLB pitcher, not a NFL receiver. Shut up.
Wow. I didn't expect that out of you. Miami and Notre Dame catching strays from you this season. I am all for throwing it on the SEC folks, but I did not. I guess you probably feel how I feel about USC. Like, they're not really that much of a threat these days, but gosh, I couldn't stand them for the longest time because of we kind of let them become relevant by not taking care of them in our series that we played against them. But anyway, wow, that was an interesting.
USC is completely irrelevant.
Right now.
they rest on their let me get controversial before I leave.
Okay, drop it in.
USC rests on their laurels like the current Alabama team does. We won this. Well, you're not winning now. Miami rests on their laurels. We won this. Well, you're not winning now. Michigan, Ohio State, all these programs that tell you that they're automatically better than you, they always rest on their laurels.
And then they accuse you of living in the past.
Exactly. And I don't live in the past yet. We've won one national championship since I've been alive. Not a claimed one. We've only won one.
Technically. I got you.
Technically. But no, it's ridiculous that if you're gonna try to pull up your past to make your future relevant, you're still living in the past.
That's fair.
So I don't look. Kick Six was fun, but the kids that are committing to Auburn now pretty much weren't born when that happened. So they don't care about it.
You're making me feel old tonight. Appreciate that.
Don't worry, my knees are creaking. My knees are creaking, buddy. Don't worry.
I got more than knees creaking. Man.
I'm closing in on 40.
Well, buddy, well, keep yourself warm and taken care of out there at the car wash. We appreciate you doing that. Tell Charles that we said hi when you see him.
Absolutely. War damn y'all. Love y'all. Have a great night.
War Eagle Thomas. All right, great call with Thomas. We covered a lot there. So we'll leave the phone line open for just a few more moments. If you all that are in the chat or watching live, maybe you're thinking about, hey, there was a great point that I wanted to make, what they were talking about, or maybe we didn't cover an angle that you wanted us to. Drop in here real quick and just say, and even just give it a try and say hello. We'll leave it open for another minute or two here. We'll take some of your comments and stuff that you guys made throughout if there's something we need to touch on, but bring up anything else tonight that we haven't talked about yet, especially. I think we covered the Gus Malzahn angle. We talked a little bit about just, the conversations of the day with the press conference, a little gymnastics talk in there from from Thomas that dropped that in there, and some softball, baseball. So we've hit a good smattering of things, but there's plenty that we could still touch on. So drop that in if you haven't. Reminders for you. You guys know the drill. Always got to remind you what's next. We have our next scheduled live stream for Auburn versus Alabama post game. Join us for that. It's going to be a fun one. Now, let me preface this. I am working on the potential of being in Auburn this weekend. I do not have a ticket to this game at this moment. Working on that. Anybody want to help a brother out? But what I'm saying is this, that if I do head to Auburn this weekend, they're doing the camp out. There's a gymnastics meet. There's a swimming and diving thing. There will be all the excitement around that. So we might be making a little quick impromptu trip to Auburn for a day or for a night, but that's being worked out, fleshed out at this point. But I say that to say, if we're here in studio right after the game, this goes live. If I'm there, it'll be, as soon as I can kind of get settled in and stuff like that. So patience there, if you don't mind. We'll be back with the Auburn Experience. I believe we're going to shoot for 3 p.m. Central for this recording. The Super Bowl is on Sunday. I know most of y'all are at least not going to pay attention to us during that. So we're going to do it a little bit earlier. So be aware of that. That is your tentative schedule for the week going forward. And so we want you to be aware of all those things. This is from Hunter. Do you think that Cobb will remain as the bell cow this year, considering the depth we have at the position? I can only go off. I don't really do, this, Hunter, but I'm about to say I don't do a lot of future thinking. I go off what I can say with some confidence right now. Coach seems to talk about Jeremiah Cobb as the lead back. He also talks a lot about the need for multiple bodies with experience, meaning that they are going to run, I think his phrase, excuse the wording for those of you that offends you, but the piss out of the ball. So that sounds like even if you're concerned that he's not going to be the quote unquote bell cow, he will get a lot of carries. You have to remember that Jeremiah Cobb was running to the ground pretty much by the end of the year last year. So he's going to need some other bodies to give him a spell, even if he is number one, which I have no reason to think at this. I go off what I can with some confidence say now based off of the things that are clear facts. There is no reason at this moment for me to think that he won't be, but obviously, you could make a case. Some of these guys are experienced. You just never know. Let's see. Why do you have a trash can below our logo on that thumbnail? Why do you have a trash can below our logo on that thumbnail? Let me go over to my thing. Below our logo on that thumbnail. Trash can? Is that a joke that I'm missing? That was on the thumbnail. Oh, I'm with you now. Sorry. Do. That's what happens when I go back and read these things a little bit further in the thing. I'm with you now. All right. See, he was on the same wavelength as you. I just wasn't. Mr. Aubrey, good to see you, sir. One of our TikTokers that makes his way for here to time. He says lots of changes to baseball jersey numbers this year. Aubrey, I don't know if you were, I don't remember seeing you on the live stream with Clint. If you were, I'm sorry that I forgot. But I hope that you got a chance to go watch the replay of that because Clint went into some detail about that. If it works out with my content schedule over the next week or so, I may clip that segment of the baseball and put that as a separate one out there for those of you that want to look at more detail, just that. I don't want to watch the whole show. I would highly recommend that you do. But that's out there. Hey, listen, there's a lot of hype around this baseball season, folks. And I'm always one to throw a little bit of a caution flag up and just kind of wait and see. But there's a lot of reasons, I think, to be thinking very highly of this Auburn baseball team. They are a consensus preseason top 10 team. They're getting a lot of conversation about individuals. Chris Rembert, Chase Fralick are two bigger names right now that are coming up. The names Bub Terrell, all of that. So there's a lot to be excited about. It wasn't our second baseman ranked the best in the nation. I think by one publication he was, Chris Rembert. So yeah, listen, baseball season is going to be fun, folks. It's going to be fun. Baby blues and orange jerseys coming to football, hopefully. Please, Coach Galesh. No, absolutely not. The uniforms are perfect, and they do not need to be changed. You do not fix something that ain't broke. Baseball and basketball and all the other sports can have fun with the uniforms. Football is sheer perfection. Do not need to change it whatsoever. Sorry to burst your bubble there, Hunter. All right, folks, that is going to be our show. We appreciate those of you that called in this evening, so thank you so much for that. Looking out at the schedule real quick, because I know some of you hate it when we miss this show because of basketball games. I'm just going to take a quick glance. Next week looks like we are good. We will have a conflict the Wednesday after that, the 18th of February, and not the week after that. Not the week after that. And it looks like we might be, for the most part, good. Now, the challenge is going to be, where does Auburn place in the SEC tournament, Auburn men's basketball, because that could create some conflicts. But I believe you have only one more night in this basketball season. I think it's versus Mississippi State that, we will have to miss Auburn Family Night for a conflict of interest. But just keep that in mind as we go forward. Let's see here. Sorry, I inadvertently caused this to be a Gus show. It was not my intention. Oh, you knew what you were doing, getting me started on that. No, I'm glad that we talked about that. I think those conversations need to be had because often, and as you saw, me and Thomas stand on very much opposite ends of that, respectfully. And I don't think either one of us is probably going to change the other's mind, at least currently at this point. But I do think that's my biggest thing is for fandom. Here, I said I was going, you got me on another discussion point. And this, take Gus out of it. I oftentimes just see fans building narratives that they have not ever been asked to walk out why you believe that, because we say these things, we buy into these things, and we just don't ever think about it. And cannot communicate it. And so we sound very, frankly, unintelligent as a fan base sometimes. And I want us to be the best version. That's what the heart of me pushing back on some of that sometime is. So I hope that comes through. People need to realize it is February. March Madness will be here quickly. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Trey Mason was robbed of Heisman 13 years later, and the fact still remains true. Just dropping that in here before we hop out of here. All right, guys, we're going to head out. Last little shout out. I don't think she was in here tonight, but I always get notifications for this. Lynn Steele became a channel member. We already gave her a shout out in the comments of our YouTube channel, but want to also cover that right there as well. So thank you to her. Thank you to all our channel members that support what we do here. Remember, if you haven't, a lot of you have access to our Discord through the YouTube channel. It's a little bit more complicated. You're going through the Patreon, but if you can come in there and join in the conversations and be part of that community too. I'm getting out of here because I said I was going to do it for the last couple of minutes and I haven't. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. As we go, I remind you, the Auburn Creed asks you to do these things. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. I ask you to do the same. Where you go?